let's get on to this crazy ass story. All right. So again, nothing is permanent, folks. And you'll see that with this crazy Greenland situation as well. First of all, I think this is a distraction. I'm going to be very clear about this, you guys. All this focus on Donald Trump and JD Vance trying to acquire Greenland is a distraction from them not doing things for the American people. That's not America first, right? Like, so I see people saying, yeah, this is great. Rah, rah, America. We should go ahead and take Greenland. Okay. Are we going to get Greenland's healthcare? Are we going to get Greenland's healthcare? Because they have universal healthcare. Everybody need to think about that for a second. Think about what that really means. But JD Vance again had a conversation. He delivers remarks in Greenland. Let's get into this. And I have some things to say, fam.
And then we'll take some questions from the reporters. So number one, I think a lot of Americans wonder, why does Greenland matter so much? Why does the mission of this base matter so much to the American people? And I learned a lot about that today myself. Of course, you can read about it in a book, but I saw it up close and personal. And if, God forbid, to my fellow Americans, if a missile was fired from an enemy country or an enemy submarine into the United States, it is the people here before us who would give notice to our brave men and women further south in the United States to let people know what was coming and, God willing, to try to shoot it down and prepare for it. That's one of the things that we do at installations like this. We know that Russia and China and other nations are taking an extraordinary interest in Arctic passageways and Arctic naval routes, and indeed in the minerals of the Arctic territories. We need to ensure that America is leading in the Arctic, because we know that if America doesn't, other nations will fill the gap where we fall behind. So
that's what this is really about. This is what I was trying to tell you before when Trump announced, yeah, let's just take Greenland or whatever. First of all, I don't agree with that. Taking other countries, acquiring other countries, taking resources from other countries. I don't agree with it. But let me break this down for just a second. That's what this is really about. China's involvement with Greenland in the Arctic, the US government sees that as a problem, or more so the Trump administration is like, no, China's there. We should be there instead. That means that China is just acquiring more power or more wealth. So it's not that they care about the people of Greenland. And that's important, because the way that JD Vance is going to frame this later on is that we care about the people of Greenland. That's not what this is about. This is about the resources that are in that area and the US trying to make sure that they get a stake on that and pull that away from China.
What you guys do is so critically important. I think a lot of Americans, certainly I, didn't realize it fully until President Trump started talking about the importance of our Arctic mission, about building upon it and ensuring that America can lead in the Arctic for the next generation. And now I want to talk about, of course, the interaction and what Denmark, I think, has done, and sometimes in partnership with us. But let's be honest, what Denmark over the last 20 years has failed to do in some cases, because we know that unfortunately this place, this base, the surrounding area is less secure than it was 30, 40 years ago, because some of our allies haven't kept up. As China and Russia have taken greater and greater interest in Greenland, in this base, in the activities of the brave Americans right here, we know that too often our allies in Europe have not kept pace. They haven't kept pace with military spending, and Denmark has not kept pace in devoting the resources necessary to keep this base, to keep our troops, and in my view, to keep the people of Greenland safe from a lot of very aggressive incursions from Russia, from China, and from other nations. Now,
Here's my take on this. Now, imagine being vice president from the United States. Imagine being JD Vance. Imagine just coming from the United States to stand there in front of Greenland and to tell them what Denmark has not done for the people in Greenland, when you were coming from a country where nobody is guaranteed health care. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And just think about this for a second. Denmark and Greenland both have universal health care. Both of them. You're coming from a country where we don't have it, where people have medical debt, one of the number one causes of debt in this country is medical debt. Everybody keeps saying student loans. There's also medical debt. You come from a country where it costs thousands and thousands of dollars just to have a baby at the hospital. And you go to Greenland, a country that has universal health care, and complain about how Denmark isn't treating the people there right. And Denmark also has universal health care. And you coming from a country that doesn't have it. So when we talk about taking care of the people and treating the people right, who's really not treating its people right? This country. If we were treating our people right, we wouldn't have homeless vets on the street. All you got to do, walk through Harvard Square, you pass them. Walk through Downtown Crossing, you pass them. I'm in the Boston area for those who didn't know. You pass them. Why we got homeless veterans on the street? Why we got homeless people? Why? In this country, why we have that? Why do we have people being evicted? Why do we have people living paycheck to paycheck in this country? And we're so wealthy. We're so wealthy and powerful. Why do we have that? Because we have a defense budget that's over $800 billion. And instead of slashing that defense budget, which is what Trump and JD Vance should be doing and benefiting the American people, they just want to go cause more problems across the world. Meet your new boss, same as the old boss. So you see these things, right? In fact, I said that this actually went pretty viral. I was surprised by this. It's the simple things that go viral for some reason on X. I said this pissed me the fuck off. Imagine telling Denmark they don't do enough for people in Greenland when both countries have universal health care and your country doesn't. That's what I said. You guys know that this tweet has over 133,000 likes. I don't know how that happened. Simple statement, but it's just obvious. But that's the US government. That's how they are. Let's go back in. Now they're trying to, again, get their hands in the Greenland, cause some other type of conflict, controversy. If it's not Denmark and Greenland, it's the Panama Canal. If it's not that, it's Iran. If it's not Iran, it's Yemen. It's not Yemen, it's Russia. It's something. It's just seems like to me there's one common enemy. That's us. We're the common denominator, the United States.
Trump, as he says all the time, and as a lot of people recognize, is a president of peace. We want to have good relationships with everybody. That includes, even to the extent possible, the Chinese and the Russians. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to. And unfortunately, the story of Greenland over the past 20 years when it comes to security is that we've underinvested in the infrastructure, we've underinvested in the security architecture, and we've underinvested in the brave men and women who are doing a very hard job, as Mike said, to keep all of us safe. That has to change. Now, when I pointed out a couple of weeks ago that in some ways, with all due respect to our Danish allies, they had not kept pace, there was a lot of criticism from Denmark, a lot of attacks at the Trump administration, at the president, at me, at others in our administration for saying the obvious, which is that Denmark hasn't done a good job at keeping Greenland safe. And one of the things I heard was, well, what about the many Danes who lost their lives in the war on terror fighting alongside the United States? Well, look, we obviously honor the sacrifice of our Danish friends in the war on terror 20 years ago, just as, for example, the French honor the sacrifice of Americans in Normandy 80 years ago. But recognizing that there are important security partnerships in the past does not mean that we can't have disagreements with allies in the present about how to preserve our shared security for the future. And
let's pause here for a second. The thing that makes this so crazy to me is the Denmark thing. Imagine going after Denmark. Have you ever been to Denmark? You guys ever been to Denmark? Denmark is chill as fuck. Imagine going after them. Okay. They were letting people just smoke weed in the streets before we even started to decriminalize it in some of the states here in the United States. People in Denmark just want to ride their bikes, smoke a joint, and say what's up. And all the people to go after. What is this? Denmark has not been doing their job. They're not keeping the people there safe. Man, leave Denmark alone, man. The fuck? It's just out of all the people to go after. I never ever thought this. Never ever thought this. They're just mad chill. So why are you going after these people? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But again, it's about resources, right? The Arctic, that Arctic Circle, trying to find a way to get China out of there. So let's acquire Green. This is so stupid. I just, in my mind, I'm just like, leave these countries alone. And I wonder how the people in Greenland really feel. Not the few that were standing there excited to meet Donald Trump. I'm talking about the majority of people in Greenland. I wonder how they feel about this. And that you can just acquire another country. Stop. But that's the US. That's what the US has continued to do. And people need to start asking these questions when it comes to Greenland, okay? If we acquire Greenland, are we going to take care of the Greenland people? I'm gonna ask this again. Don't forget, Greenland has universal health care. So if the US acquires it, who is going to pay for their health care? Is anybody asking this question? Is Denmark still gonna be a part of that? I just don't. So many other things that could be done. So many other things that could be done right here in the United States that we need to deal with. We have problems here in our own country that we need to solve. And people need to understand a thing or two about this. When I told you it's a distraction, people are cheering this on. This is Donald Trump and JD Vance trying to convince you that they're doing something for you. They're not. If they were doing something for you, again, like I said, we wouldn't have as many homeless people in this country. Get out of here. It's a joke. Just like RFK's, look, let's make America healthy again thing. It's also a joke. You want to make America healthy? Give people clean water. Go to Flint. Go to Jackson, Mississippi. Give people clean. How about you start with that? Make sure Americans have clean drinking water. They're not serious. It's a distraction. I just hope people are starting to see it. So when I say nothing is permanent, that includes Greenland, because apparently Greenland may become part of the United States for whatever reason. Nothing is permanent, apparently. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.